This is my unfiltered story. How I went from getting fired 5 times in 2 years, failing all possible education, to coming home one day, opening up a broken laptop and taking my professional life into my own hands. Growing up, I was just that kid in school that just did not fit in. There was no formal education pathway that I could see myself committing to, even as much as I wish there was. I was struggling, and the online business world back then was non-existent. I never heard the word entrepreneur. I never knew you could take control yourself. I never knew there was opportunity there outside of the formal education, and all my potential that I had was not being fulfilled. That led to me having uncertainty throughout the whole entire school. To my whole entire formal education, all I had was uncertainty, no network, no guidance, unsure of where I was going. I failed 5 jobs in factories, forklifts, laboring. I failed all in 5 years until I came to a position in life of confusion. And between jobs, I was working in pizza places. I was working in fast food chains, and teachers and friends used to say, when we're all buying houses, you're going to be delivering pizzas. Funny story, my teacher in secondary school or high school used to call me as a joke, pizza boy. But deep down, the most frustrating thing is that I knew intellect or intelligence was never a problem. I always could catch up with the whole class in 1 week if I wanted to. I could always catch up on all information and be well versed on the topic of discussion throughout school whenever I put my mind to it. Whenever I put my mind to projects, sports, I knew I could create something. This caused the utmost frustration for me for a decade. All I ever wanted was that light bulb moment to go off where I could commit to something. That something came this breakthrough point in my life. I worked for a medical device factory, and on 1 week before we finished up for Christmas in 2016, I finished work on a Friday afternoon as normal and got brought in with a determination of employment contract, the 5th in 2 years. I came home with one last paycheck due, taking out my father's laptop and searching how to create my own job. I knew in the back of my mind I tried everything, and I knew there was no pathway. Funny, today I label myself as unemployable. Now that day is a day I'm very grateful for, because it took me down a pathway from a whole new perspective. It opened up a whole new world to me. That same day, I found future mentors of mine like Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone, and most important and impactful person in my life, Bob Proctor. I spent every waking hour for months on end researching everything these people had to say, listening to every seminar, buying all the books, locking myself away for months, unsure of what I was actually doing, but I was rewiring my brain and physically becoming a new person. After the first month of becoming obsessed with this personal development avenue and be able to create and take control of my own future, I realized that these people operated at a totally different level of awareness, a totally different professional manner. They did not trade time for money. These people created systems and businesses and mechanisms to be able to provide an outcome for clients, partners, customers that they dealt with. Not only outcome, a valuable outcome. They solved big problems. Solving big problems now equals big rewards on the other side. Now, from that day when I came across this and when I got fired, I had this crazy idea that was kind of wishful thinking, filled with doubt, that someday I was going to be able to replace the income I received from my previous 9 to 5 from a laptop. In 2016, for me, that was an idea that felt like it was non-humane. It felt like it came from a different universe, a different planet. Let me be honest, the next steps were far from glamorous. There was a 9-month period of torture, a 9-month period of what now I look back and feel it was a period needed to shape me for the future. But when I look back, it was a very, very difficult time. Couldn't really, like I said, I had no network, I had no friends. The thought of Adam Power starting a business would be the most laughable topic in my family, in my friend group, in my neighborhood. It was not a reality that anyone would ever have expected. But thanks to Bob Proctor and the other mentors that I listed, I was able to commit. I was able to slowly but surely get that doubt out of my mind, invest in my first program, and start actioning. I was able to learn, and over 9 months, I'd done a 4-month program 3 times. I was super competent at delivering a service and creating an outcome. But why the hell would someone trust me? The failed school, the lowest grades in the year, failed every corporate position, the guy who didn't even know anything about business, the guy who didn't know anything about how to communicate, make a strategy, create an outcome. How would someone be able to trust in me to be able to do that? But like I said, the thought in the back of my mind throughout the whole decade of the formal education allowed me to always know there's something coming in the back of my mind. That something was here. All I needed for that something to become a reality was one yes. I needed someone to say a 3-letter word to me for me to create my future life. I knew when one yes came, the next yes would be a lot more closer to that. And I worked my ass off for 9 months from that time in December when I got fired and investing in the program for 9 months to get my first yes. What I did during that nine-month period was nothing short of difficult. 100+ rejections a day. My hopes up and shattered. My hopes up and shattered. Risked, not speaking to everybody, bottled emotions, unsure, spending money. But I knew day by day, week by week, I was getting really good at this thing. I was getting really good at creating this outcome for the potential clients that I knew was only one yes away from acquiring. Now at the time, I was learning how to create advertising campaigns to get customers into local businesses. I was building an online service-based agency that was able to create a financial growth outcome for businesses in my local area. And I was getting really good. I was so confident. And the groups I was in online, I was actually DMing people saying, hey, I'll do this for free. And I was getting some really amazing results. I knew if I was able to do it for networks in the US, UK, Australia, I just needed someone local that I could come down, speak to, and get that first 3-letter word, yes. So spending 2 to 3 hours a day improving my service, 2 to 3 hours a day of getting no after no after no after no, just knowing in the back of my mind, I'm one no closer to the yes. Because for me, it wasn't just about getting a quick paycheck. For me, it was about having the shift in my entire life. That thing I knew was always in the back of my mind for me to be able to achieve the success I knew. I had a vision in my mind of me being successful, providing for my family, be able to fulfill, help, spread knowledge, spread positive messages, and be able to have a purpose, improving the life of people around me. Then, after 9 months of struggle, one day, after a referral from me banging on the door of everyone who I came across, I eventually got that yes. That yes for me was €90 per week, which is roughly around $100 per week. Now, I went from previously making 5 times that. Now, when I got that first yes, I knew it was time to not only get to work, but deliver. I was going to go above and beyond to make this a success. And that is exactly what we did. This local business went from 3 staff to 6 staff and 3 times the size of the unit within 4 months. I was doing everything in my waking power to be able to improve the current financial situation and acquire their clientele into the location. There was no Netflix for me. There was no Game of Thrones for me. There was no watching series or messing around it, going out to nightclubs and bars. There was work. It was commitment, it was study, it was learn. I fell in love with this flow. This flow allowed me to fall in love with the process, which made it easier. This level of thinking allowed me to make a shift from what I now see everybody else doing. People sign their first client, like I did, for €360 a month, and then straight away they try to get their second. That was not for me. For me, it was over delivering to get that first case study. I was in a 10-year plan, not a 6-month plan. Now, what I was doing for this current client at €360 a month is like something you would do for €5,000 a month, work full time. I always joke, everyone who I speak to on previous podcasts or interviews, where I say, if my first clients wanted me to cut their grass or paint their house, I would have been there with the lawnmower and the brushes, okay? I was there to make this work. After 4 months of working with this first client, making every ad variation perfect, make every offer great, all systems go, everything working, tested and refined to get these phenomenal results, word of mouth spread, where a family friend connected me to another. And I was able to go from 360 per month to adding another for 600 euros a month. I went to bed that night overwhelmed to say, I'm halfway there. I'm halfway there. It's 9 months in, but I'm halfway there. Imagine if I can actually do this. Now, I was 21 at this time, and that was my lifetime vision of replacing my salary. That was so alien to me. I've never seen it done before, especially coming from a small town in the north side of Cork City in Ireland, that I was so locked in and focused now. Next, my second client came, and I was down in this specific place every single day. I saved up all the first couple of months of the first client to buy myself a camera, and I was able to now create better advertising style content. I was able to create better graphics, better images to get out to the public in order to make sure that this place was filled. The revenue was visibly going up and up from the day that they hired me. More bookings, more customers, more sales. And again, I knew when I got that right, it would be a retention. It would be a client for long periods of time. When you have a client for a long period of time, I realized that they start to sing your praises to their network, and they want to work with you long term because you have a viable service that's a legitimate partnership for whoever you speak with. And this is where I activated the all systems go approach. I started documenting everything, really understanding what's working and what's not, really being more confident to speak to more people, be able to connect and reach out to people on LinkedIn. In local coffee shops, I was able to start expressing myself and showcasing, hey, I'm really getting a business off the ground here. Old Adam, who less than 1 year ago was so down and out, miserable, depressed, no direction in life, no purpose in life, nowhere to channel the potential that he knew he had, to all of a sudden jumping out of bed at 5 a.m. every morning, could not wait for Monday morning to come to be able to open up my laptop, build my dream. I was building my dreams right now. And looking back, this nearly brings a tear to my eye because it was such a beautiful time looking back, even though how difficult it was and how unknown and uncertain it was. When I look back right now, it was a phenomenal time that shaped me to become who I am today. Now, from there, I was more confidently able to speak to someone. I was more confidently able to put myself out there. And I ended up acquiring client number 3, corporate firm that paid me, you will not believe it, my last salary. I could not believe this. This is like one of these movie moments where I came out with the check in my hand and I was looking up on my knees, thanking God, how did this possibly happen? My dreams came true. That was my dream. My lifetime vision came true in just under 1 year. I had my salary replaced from my laptop. I didn't have to experience the fear or the embarrassment of getting fired again. I did not have to experience the fear of questioning myself, do I have intellect to hold down a job? I did not have to question myself saying, where do I fit in this world? Where's my corner? How do I carve out my corner for me to showcase that I'm valuable? I knew I had the intellect. I knew I was intelligent enough, and all I needed was this vehicle. Now this vehicle was real. I replaced my salary. My lifetime goal became a reality in just under 12 months. Now, 1 month later, after acquiring my biggest client to date, client number 3, I went down to their office to do my month 1 review, and I overheard the guy say, yeah, I think we made about 60,000 euros from this. And I said, excuse me? I never even heard of 60,000 euros in my lifetime. But he said, yeah, we collected about 60,000 euro from the efforts that you put in over the first 30 days. We're really happy, Adam. Thank you so much. I'm actually going to give you a number to a friend of mine who owns a clinic. He'd love to speak with you. All of a sudden, I was overwhelmed. I could not believe this was happening. Client number 4 was here. First 3 clients are over the moon, super, super happy. Now I'm getting busy. My days are busy. So what did I do? Again, still no Game of Thrones for me, still no Netflix for me. I was obsessed and in the flow of just consuming content, consuming information every night. I now call this the 7 to 10 approach. The 7 to 10 in the evening time, when everybody else is watching movies or taking some downtime, I started to consume information. And one piece of information I came across was to document everything that you're doing. That's working. I started to do this. In 2017, I started to document everything I was doing so that I could showcase to someone in the future, because I knew it was only a matter of time before I needed some help. As I was documenting, as I was aiming to over-deliver every single day, client number 5 and 6 and 7 all started to come. Not only had I replaced my salary in 12 months, I doubled it within 18. I was in a place of life that I could never have imagined. And it was a full 360. I always say it's like someone took me off this planet Earth, brought me to another parallel version of the same planet and just dropped me off. My life really went from night and day, but it came with challenges. There was not enough hours in the day for me to go meet my clients, maintain the personal relationship, and still keep the level of standard that I wanted to always deliver. So before you know it, we were able to help bigger businesses, and I knew it was time to start building a team. Someone that I met in a group that I was in from day one when I invested with my last paycheck back in 2016. We spoke every day, and some of these people are my best friends today. I said to him, bro, I got a lot of clients coming in. What's your thoughts on coming to work for me for a little bit? He said, Adam, I would love nothing more than to come in and use the same skills that I've been learning with you to over deliver for your current clients. With my first team member able to take on more clients, I woke up one day and I had a 6-figure business. For you to tell me this is so far beyond my imagination. It's hard. I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth. This 6-figure business allowed me to continuously grow, continuously invest, and acquire bigger and better clients. But it wasn't just about getting bigger and better clients. It was about building this foundation, building this system that I've worked so hard and from scratch. It was like my baby. I wanted to build it. I wanted to grow it. I wanted to make sure that the foundation was strong, and it was a forever thing. And before you know it, within 12 months, I went from my father asking me, was everything okay in the spare bedroom, spending all day on my laptop with him having no clue what I was doing, to moving into my dream apartment in Ireland's tallest building. The number one place that I remember when it was being built as a kid, I used to look up in awe at the size of this building and said, someday I will live there. That someday was today. And let me tell you, this place was the biggest, wildest imagination of a goal or vision for me to ever achieve. And I could not believe my dreams physically came true. Physically built the business to the level I wanted to build it, working with amazing clients. And I physically moved into the exact apartment that I wanted to. My life was so complete. I was so happy. It was perfect. Everything was great. Until another year flew by and I started to question, what am I actually doing? Am I having the number one impact on the world at a bigger scale? 2021, 2022, I started to look for the answers, move abroad. I moved up, I got a new home. I moved to Spain full time. Months and years were flying by. Everything was growing, but I had the same thing as the kid in school had something at the back of his mind. I had that same feeling, something is not fully right. There's something missing here. And I was trying to figure out what that something was. And as a man of very strong faith, I was praying and asking for these answers every single day. Until one time, walking home from the gym, I realized I was more passionate about finishing my work throughout the day and voice noting, replying to messages, having free groups, helping people in my spare time in the evening time. This idea in 2023 stuck with me for quite some time. Now, at this stage, my agency had over 25 amazing high-paying clients, hit the 7-figure annual run rate. I had $1 million business at 25 years old. What the hell was going on? The same kid that was getting arrested a couple of years back, the same kid that was being labeled everything in school, the same kid that was doing everything wrong in life and in the wrong direction, picking up speed as fast as you can imagine for so many years, was sitting here in a beautiful home, running his business with an amazing team of 15 people, and life couldn't be any better. But that thing in the back of my mind knew I could have a bigger impact. I ignored this thing in the back of my mind for over 18 months until January 2024. I picked up a book labeled Ikigai, and I read this book 2 times in the space of 2 weeks. What is this book? This is a Japanese proverb of finding your ultimate purpose. I realized that my purpose was here. It's great. It done everything for me over the last 7.5, 8 years, but there was something missing. Like I said, the same kid in school, in employment roles, that knew something was missing in the back of his mind, that feeling was back, and it was back stronger. It was a heavy load that I was carrying for quite some time, and it brought some guilt. It brought guilt into my life. I could see my younger self in hundreds, if not thousands, of people that I crossed paths with. Mothers in Ireland would email me, "Hey Adam, my son showed me your business over dinner sometime last month. What would you recommend for him to do?" I was getting DMs every day. hey Adam, I'm really stuck in my job right now. It's really not fulfilling me. I used to be unfulfilled. I found fulfillment and purpose. I can close that gap for someone. For me to not action that for such a long period of time started to physically cause a burden, until one day when I finished the second time reading the book Ikigai, I knew it was time for action. Now, first, I was unsure of how to create this next level. I felt like I was back on day one in my father's spare bedroom, back, and that feeling gave me life. That feeling actually brought me back to life. That feeling was amazing. That feeling of uncertainty, I was familiar with that. I know how it feels. I knew I was back in that environment, but I knew this time it was going to be bigger and better than it was before. Now, I created a free community. Overnight, this was Ireland's biggest online community for young entrepreneurs and online marketing systems. Everything completely free. Overnight, we had over 2,500 members. Every week, I was hosting a free online workshop with the goal to just completely help people. And this was great for 3 to 4 months, until I started to see people drop off, and I started to see them go over here or go over here with these other things, and they weren't really getting the full direction. They weren't getting steered the right way as I felt they should. So what did I do? The exact same time I locked myself away in my father's spare room, I'd done the exact same thing, this time in my home office in Dubai, where I was previously staying and where I was previously living, where I got the whiteboard out, I got my iPad out, and I mapped the whole thing start to finish. I said, how can someone come to me unfulfilled, maybe not having a direction, maybe not having the growth that they want, maybe not being able to find professional direction, being stuck, having no purpose in life, knowing and feeling that they have that feeling in the back of their mind that they're here to do more, but not having the vehicle to be able to commit to doing so. So I spent nearly 8 months creating, refining and testing, taking one person in, taking them through, taking another person in, taking them through, completely free. So just like 8 years previously, the birth of my agency, which was Powered Media, there was a new birth, which was Powered University. Powered University was something that, like Bob Proctor and others did for me, I felt responsible for doing for them. When Bob Proctor passed away, both my parents said to me the same day, it's your turn now. But it took me a year to action because I couldn't figure out how to do it correct. And over the coming months, I sat down and I built this from A to Z. How does this look? What stuff that I documented all the way back in 2017 to 2024 and 2025? How can I piece everything together in a systemized approach that when someone comes unfulfilled, looking for guidance, just like me back through all those years, to be able to come out on the other side like I did within 2, 3, 4, 5 years? How can they do that in 6 months? So I built out from scratch all the foundations that I plug and play that are proven, that work every single day. The systems and frameworks that allow you to get top tier outcomes for any client that you work with. How to plug in the 7 to 10 rule into your business that I allow myself to deliver the best possible results for my clients. The client acquisition frameworks, the service delivery mechanisms, the offer building, the onboarding, the operations, the hiring, recruiting, managing, mindset, everything you need in order to build your own professional career. No, not only was I so confident with this, I knew it worked because I was physically doing it every day for 8 years. I joke and laugh, call myself a one-trick pony, because that's all I've put all my professional attention into, is becoming the best version of myself and building this mechanism that allows me to create my dream life. So everything that we create was refined. It's not theoretical, it's 100% practical, and it works to allow people to achieve the same outcome that I achieved for myself through failure upon failure upon failure, every lesson equaling combined experience. And all of a sudden, the doors were open for the test group. Some of these test groups can vouch that some of them have quit their jobs, some of them have replaced 6-figure incomes as solicitors, lawyers, etc. Some of them have scaled their own agency to multiple 6 figures per year, some even on track for 7 figures. And over the last 7 months, having hundreds of people sign clients online, fulfill amazing partnerships, replace incomes, grow, create freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, location freedom. We got people moving to Spain like I did back in 2020. We got people moving to different parts of the world. We got people traveling. We got people forming friendships. We got people fulfilling their dream and waking up excited on a Monday morning before the alarm goes off, not dreading your alarm all day Sunday. I used to know how many minutes until 4 p.m. on a Friday, on a Tuesday. I used to have countdowns on my phone on how to wishfully get through the next couple of days so I can have 2 to 3 days of freedom in my life. Now, if you're listening to this and you were happy in your job, you made it. But for me and many others, that was not the case. Now, I'm very blessed and grateful today to welcome Power University to the world at scale, to welcome everybody and introduce everybody to what we've been doing over the past essentially 8 years. What we've been doing for the last 8.5 years has evolved into something that means a lot to me over the past 7 months. Here's what I know for certain: the difference between the people who really get ahead and those who stay stuck. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not actually hard work. It is, without a doubt, having the right system to make it happen, the right vehicle, the right growth, the right strategy to get yourself from A to B. And just like I did over a 1 to 2 year period, if you're stuck right now and you want to replace your income, make double your income, even make your first 10K per month delivering an outcome to partners, or if you're deeper into the game, already doing really well, but you're stuck in regards to scalability, scaling to the next level of growth, getting to 7 figures, we can absolutely with certainty give you the clear roadmap on how to get there. But here's the thing: one decision can change your life, just like that one YouTube search back in 2016 completely shaped the direction of my entire life. And just like me, you might feel that the formal education pathway is broken for you. That does not mean you have to be stuck in it. Because the truth is, you do not need more information. You need the right proven system and the right phased approach of relevant stages and the right support team with you to make it happen, along with the people and the network that'll push you every single day. That's exactly what helped me get ahead within my life, from that old kid who was failing everything, for that old kid who was scared of the world, from that old kid who was unsure, who that old kid who didn't know how to deal with the world, who didn't know how to think, didn't know how to operate, didn't know how to get himself into the right position, didn't know how to acquire the right friend group, and more importantly, cut the wrong friend group. The person who figured out how to navigate slowly but surely in the right direction and forever keep going in that same direction and forever be in a vehicle of evolution that's consistently evolving. So guys, let's build together. Let's create purpose. Let's find the right vehicle for you to get ahead. Get that level of freedom. Like I said, the 3 tiers of freedom. And like me, back when I was stuck, struggling, being labeled everything under the sun, being in trouble all the time, being told from formal education and bosses and management teams that I was not good enough or unintelligent, show those people you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you're in control of making that switch, just like I did in 2016 and never looked back. Was it easy? Absolutely not. Over the years, I've had many struggles. I had a place to lean on and a place to find the answers, and the commitment levels on how you learn how to think. All praise, thank you to Bob Proctor for teaching me that. Going to stand with you, not only professionally, but personally for your whole entire life. The most valuable skill any human being can learn is how to think. And when you know how to think, you know how to execute, act, and build. So guys, let's build. Welcome to the Power University. I hope to see you all inside. And if you're truly ready to grow, if you're truly ready to become an online founder, to become a freelancer, agency owner, coach, consultant, or entrepreneur, we're here to welcome you with open arms and hope to see you inside.